Welcome to the Self-Reliant Living Show, where we talk all about a self-reliant lifestyle to save money, live greener, eat healthier, and be prepared for anything so you can take care of the ones you love in good times and bad. I'm your host, Jennifer Osich, a homeschooling mom of 3 boys. I'm the author of the Preparedness Planner series, and my husband and I are the lead teachers of Self-Reliant School, a website dedicated to giving you the skills and confidence to take care of yourself and your community. Be sure to stop by and pick up your free videos from inside Self-Reliant School that will get you started growing, cooking, and preserving your own food today. You can pick these up at selfreliantschool.com/free. Now, on with the show. Hi, and welcome to the Self-Reliant Living Show. I am Jennifer Osich. I am the author of the Preparedness Planner series, and my husband and I teach at selfreliantschool.com. We teach gardening and preserving and cooking skills. And this is our show that we put on. My husband does all of the producing. He's sitting in front of me actually, and we do this together. This is the Self-Reliant Living Show, and I am your host. Today we're going to talk about how to make kombucha, how to make it with a SCOBY and without a SCOBY. So first of all, let me do some housekeeping here and let you know some different ways to watch. You can watch on Facebook Live, you can watch on Periscope, you can watch the replay on YouTube, you can listen to this show as a podcast on iTunes if you want to listen in your earbuds. You can also go to selfreliantlife.tv and you can watch there as well. If you want to go to the show notes for this particular show, you can go to selfreliantlife.tv/050. And you'll get all the links and all the notes. Everything we've talked about will be on that page along with the replay of the show. So if we get disconnected or whatever might happen, it's a live show, then rest assured that you can go there and get the show notes. Okay, so if you're watching on Facebook, I would love a thumbs up, a heart. That just lets me know that you are there and you find the information useful, and I would love it also if you would share. Same thing on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Okay. So we are on every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. And we are, like I said, on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube for the replay. And then, of course, you can go to selfreliantlife.tv/050 for the show notes to this show. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to monitor comments. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Sandra. Sandra's watching from Arkansas. Okay, hello. I'm so glad you were here. Okay, so let's talk about kombucha. So we have done a show on soda, natural soda before, and if you haven't seen that show, you can go to selfreliantlife.tv/049 and watch that show. And the soda is all natural, and it's not full of chemicals and preservatives like you would find in the store. And that is a great place to start if you are trying to ditch soda. And this kombucha, I feel like, is a step up from that, because not only is it a wonderful carbonated beverage, but it also has some benefits. It has probiotics in it, and it helps with a lot of things. The reports have been from everything from muscle pain, arthritis, heartburn. I actually drink some when I have indigestion problems. I have a hiatal hernia, so I will take maybe a half a cup or so of kombucha, and that helps with it. So it has a lot of benefits, plus, like I said, the probiotics, which helps your gut stay healthy with the healthy bacteria in your gut. Okay, so let's see. I want to tell you just a little bit about the SCOBY before we get started here. Now, I have notes here, so I'm referring to my notes so I don't tell you anything wrong. Okay, so a SCOBY is a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. So I'm going to show you up close in just a minute what a SCOBY looks like. But I want to tell you that, what it is, and that when you brew kombucha, what you're basically doing is fermenting tea. And so your SCOBY will help you. If you put a SCOBY in kombucha to brew it, that's going to help brew that kombucha, and you'll usually have a new SCOBY form at the top where the liquid meets the air. So it'll just be like a film on top. It's sometimes thicker than a film. It just depends. A young SCOBY can be really thin, and a thicker SCOBY would be older, and it just depends on your brewing conditions and all of that. But in just a minute, I'm going to show you exactly what one looks like. Now, kombucha can have a little bit of alcohol in it. It's 0.5%. And so we let our kids drink kombucha in moderation, small amounts. But if you're brewing it yourself, there can be some variations in that. So just be careful. And I don't recommend giving it to children unless it's just a really, really small amount, and then in moderation. Okay, so let me talk about, before we get started, let me talk about two different ways to brew kombucha. There's a batch brew, which is brewing it all at once, which is what we're going to be doing. And then there's a continuous brew. Okay, so let me talk about that for just a second. Okay, so what I have here, I kind of have kombucha in all different stages so I can show you how to brew it. And then I'm talking about all these different components. So let me go ahead and show you the container. Okay, so I have one batch already ready to be bottled, and we're going to do that in just a minute. But right now, I want to show you this because this is what we're going to be brewing in. And this is just a container. This is a 2-gallon glass container. It's not plastic. You should not brew in plastic. I don't recommend plastic. Now there's some plastic components to some of the continuous brew systems, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't like continuous brew, and let me tell you why. First of all, let me just go take a step back and tell you that, like I said, this is a container, and what I would do is just go ahead and make the kombucha and then just brew it. It would be one batch, and then when it's ready, I would take it out and do a second ferment, and then I would start again. Okay, so continuous brew is different in that what you do is it has usually a continuous brew container has like a little spigot or spout down here, and what you do is you continuously put sweet tea in, and then it's like the name suggests, it's continually brewing. And I have had those systems before. The problem with those is that I'm not somebody, I like to do things in batch, so I like to get everything done, and then I like to clean out my container and all of that. You shouldn't have a huge problem with keeping it sanitary because kombucha is acidic anyway, but there are, I don't know, I call it SCOBY goo, right? It's part of the SCOBY that gets into the bottom, that it settles on the bottom, and then it'll get into the spout or spigot, I guess you would call it, and then it clogs it so it won't pour correctly. So then you have to take everything out, and the other thing is those containers are really, really expensive. Now some of them, especially the ones that are ceramic, they're beautiful. And if it's something that you want as a decorative thing in your home, then that's a different story. But just for brewing kombucha, you don't need that at all. Like I said, they are very expensive. And for what I use and how I brew kombucha, they don't work really well for me. Now, if you drink it just a little bit every single day and you don't care about doing a second ferment, then that might be something you would look into, just cleaning it every now and again. That's another thing with a continuous brew. It's like, well, it's brewing, it's not time to clean it, and so it's harder to get on a cleaning schedule. Like I said, not that you have to scrub it out, but like I said, the sediment gets in there and it gets clogged. And so that is just not something that I think is a good idea for how much those containers cost. So, okay, so let me go ahead and start with showing you how to brew a batch of kombucha. And I'm going to start with using a SCOBY because if you're lucky enough to get a SCOBY from a friend, or you have extra SCOBYs that you have, we're going to talk about a SCOBY hotel too. So if you're lucky enough to get one, you can also purchase one, then that's going to be the way you're going to brew. And even after you make one from not having one, you'll still want to use that. So that's what I'm going to start with this big container. So what I need to do is I've got some water down here, so I keep kicking it. If you hear me kicking glass, that's what it is. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is, which I've already done here, is take, for this recipe, this is gonna be a 2-gallon brew, and this is a half a gallon of, just a little shy of half a gallon of brewed tea. So what I did was I took 10 tea bags. It's a concentrate mixture. So I took 2 cups of sugar, heated my water, then I put 2 cups of sugar in here, and then I dissolved the sugar. Then I put 10 tea bags in here, and then I let it steep. And just depending on how strong you like your tea, I like really strong tea, so I let it steep for a long time. So, but if you don't like strong tea, then you can take it out after 5 or 6 minutes. But I like strong tea, so I usually don't worry about how long it takes. Okay, so then you're gonna let that come to room temperature. So this has been in the refrigerator, so it's not too bad if it's cool. You just don't want it hot, because if it's hot, it's gonna kill your SCOBY. But this is cold, so it's fine, and it's not frozen, so we're good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna pour it in my brewing container. Okay, so pour this in. Okay, so then what you wanna do is you can get some water, and I have water, like I said, down here. I have so many things up here I wanna show you. I have to put some things on the floor. Okay, so I have a gallon of water. Remember, this is a 2-gallon brew. So I'm gonna pour this gallon of water. I have it stored here in my half-gallon mason jars. Now, you want to use filtered water. You don't want any chlorine or anything like that in your water, because it's not gonna do good things for your SCOBY. So I'm just gonna put it in here. And then I'm gonna do the other one. And I'm gonna look at comments too. Bill is sitting there looking at comments too, so if you hear him ask me a question, he's asking me a question because I haven't looked. So if you have questions, please ask. And he will, let's see, Lauren is saying, I got my 2-gallon glass jugs. She has, if you go to a big box store, then you can get these glass containers at a pretty good price. Okay, so here's my half a gallon of sweet tea, and then I have a gallon of water. Now I have a recipe. I guess I should come up here and talk. I have a recipe in the show notes, and then you can follow it exactly. Kombucha is, it's one of those things where it doesn't have to be exactly precise. So don't worry if you're a little bit off here and there. Okay, so now we've got our sweet tea, and like I said, the half a gallon that I had, that was really concentrated. That's why I added the water and everything. So now this is just sweet tea, and now we're ready to add the part that's going to make kombucha. So let me talk just a minute about some different options. Okay, so what you could do is you could buy a SCOBY, and here's one. I want to show you what it looks like. Okay, so there's one that came in a bag, and then it is is in this bag. So this little thing that's floating is the SCOBY, and I'm going to show you a close-up here. The liquid is the starter liquid. Can you see that? There you go. Okay, so you can add this and the starter liquid, and then you can start your brew that way. Now, I want to show you something else. Once you start making kombucha, then you're going to wind up with a bunch of SCOBYs. Let me just show you. This is my SCOBY hotel. Let's see if we can get a close-up. Okay, yeah, there we go. So I have a lot of SCOBYs. And I'm going to show you how to make one of these in just a second. So I do not need the SCOBY, but I wanted to show you what it looked like in the bag. So when you got it, if you get one in the mail or whatever, that you would know what that looks like and you would be okay with that and know what to expect. So clearly I do not need this. For the first Self-Reliant School member to email me and wants this, they can have it. I will send it to you. You have to be a member though, and I will send it. Okay, so let me show you. So let's just say that you've already got a SCOBY hotel. I'm going to show you how to maintain it, but let's just say that you've already got a SCOBY from someplace. I'm going to show you what to do next. Like I said, I have limited space, so I have a bunch of stuff out of order here. And I want to show you the camera too, so forgive me for having to move things around. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take a SCOBY out of here, and then I'm going to show it to you up close again because I'm going to put it in a plate. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take a SCOBY out, or two. They clump together after a while. But here's one, and this is a lighter color because it's a newer SCOBY. But let me just take some of these out of here, and you can see the different colors because over time they will get darker, and you can see they're different sizes because of the brewing container. The SCOBY will take the shape of the jar that you're brewing in. So you can see that some are smaller, and you can see this guy is really huge. Can you see that? Okay, let's see if I can you get a close-up of that? So you can see that one is a new one because of the light color, and then the other one is kind of like the other ones. And we're getting high on our stack here, so I'm not gonna take that one out. Okay, so to brew the kombucha, what you're going to do is you're going to take a SCOBY, and I'm just going to take this one. It doesn't matter the age, it's all the same. And then I'm just going to put him in here, just like that. And now I am going to take this guy out. Then the liquid that's here in my SCOBY hotel is my starter liquid. So I'm going to take this, and you can measure it if you want. Like I said, you can follow the recipe exactly, and if you're having trouble, please do that. But I have done this many times, and I'll just put that in there. And it's very forgiving, especially if you have strong SCOBYs. Then if you are off a little bit, it's fine. It's going to compensate. If you have healthy SCOBYs. If you don't have a healthy SCOBY, then you do need to go ahead and follow the recipe exactly. And then also on your first brew, right? If whoever gets this, so you need to take it and follow the directions exactly. Okay, so that's it. I have started this brew. I'm gonna cover it because it is something that pest, flies, fruit flies, all kinds of things. Dust, you wanna keep the dust out. So I just have a cloth, and I have a rubber band here, and I'm going to cover it like this. And then I'm going to leave it the thing is that some people will say that you need it to be completely dark. I've never had it completely dark where I keep my brews. So, you know, that's up to you. If you have a really light house where there's natural light coming in everywhere, then you might want to try and put it in the darkest place possible. But other than that, I think this is enough where it, it's covering some of it. Another thing is that it depends on the environment in your house as to how long it's going to take. Right now it's really warm here, so this kombucha would be done in probably a week, maybe even less than that. So it just depends if it's winter time where you are. If it's really cold, then you might need to have a heating pad. I live in a climate where I've never used one, even in the winter, and my kombucha takes a little bit longer in the winter, but it's never made it where it would not turn into kombucha. But you want to watch that, like I said, especially if you have a strong SCOBY. That's going to, it's a living thing, so it's going to make transitions from season to season just fine. If it's your first brew and it's brand new SCOBY that you just got, you want to baby it some. So that is how you go ahead and set up your first brew. Is there a question? Let's see. What type of cloth are you covering it with? This is just a cotton cloth, so it's just something that's going to breathe. So the air can escape, because you don't want it to carbonate or anything. You want it just the air and everything, the alcohol that's in there, to dissipate and all of that sort of thing. So on this first brew, we don't cover it where it's an airtight covering. We're just covering it so that it can breathe, and dust and flies and fruit flies and whatever can stay out of it. So that's all we're doing there. Okay. How do you know when it's done? Great question. Great question. Okay, so basically, I know when it's done because I know what I want it to taste like. And that's all I've ever done with kombucha. I have just gone and tasted it. Oh, it tastes okay, then it's good. Now you can get pH sticks. I think Bill has a link. He'll show you what those are, but you can get pH strips to take the pH of your kombucha, and then you can tell if it's done there. And kombucha, like I said, I don't use that, so I don't know that off the top of my head, but I did put it in my notes here. And it's a I will find it. No, I won't. I think it's 3. Yeah, it's 3. Bill's holding up 3. It's acidity, a pH of 3. And remember, pH goes down. So the lower the number, the higher the acidity. So you want it at least a 3, and then going into the 2 range, like 2.5, 2.8, something like that. Okay, so let me go back up here and make sure, because I'm going through my notes. I'm like, oh no, I need to talk about all that. I don't want to leave anything out. Okay, so this is how you just basically do recipe. You get a SCOBY, and this is your first ferment. You're good to go. Leave it for a week, and then let me show you what happens. Let me show you what happens if you don't have a SCOBY. Yeah, let me show you. I'm trying to think of how I can organize stuff right to make it flow. Let me show you what happens when you do not have a SCOBY really quick. And let me see if I can switch some things around here. Okay, so say that you are someplace where getting a SCOBY would be difficult. You can get them on Amazon, so if you can get Amazon, that's probably all you need there. And Bill has a link to where to get one, so he can put that, he can put that in the comments there. And so let me finagle here. I can do it. Okay, so if you do not have a SCOBY, it's just fine. The only thing is you're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer. So let me show you how to do it with no SCOBY. The only other thing I would say is if you have tried brewing kombucha before and you have not had good luck, if you've had it mold or you've had it taste not how you want, then I would recommend getting a SCOBY from somebody to begin with, and then you can play around with the different times and the temperature, because you don't know if it hasn't turned out for you. You need to troubleshoot as to what the problem is. But if you have never done it and you want to try doing it without a SCOBY, it's super easy. And if you have the right conditions in your house and you just kind of baby it, watch it, like I said, it's a living thing, then it should work out. Okay, so what I have done is I have a half-gallon mason jar, and I have a small amount, 2 cups of brewed tea, and I have 1/4 cup of sugar in here, and I still have my tea bags. I was just brewing it. There's two tea bags in there. Let's see if I have enough water. Yeah, okay. So, and it's not too warm. It's warm. It's a little bit warm. It's room temperature, just a little bit. You do not want it above 115, 18 degrees, because that's going to kill your all of your bacteria and everything. Okay, so I'm just going to take the tea bags out, and like I said, I've already got the sugar in there. The recipe is on the show notes, so if you want to go there and get the recipe for this, you can. Okay, so this is just brewed tea. I do want to say really quickly, please try and get organic tea. Tea is one of the things that is most heavily sprayed, so do not get cheap black tea that is not organic. Please make sure, if there's one thing, I used to probably say that every show, but tea is a really important one to get organic. Okay, so I'm going to put that in here. Okay, then I am going to take a store-bought kombucha. So I don't think there's too many places that you can't get this at all. I think there's, if you have access to a health food store, they're probably going to have some kombucha. Now, what you want to do is take care to know that it's organic and raw. So raw meaning that it hasn't been heated, hasn't been pasteurized or anything. And this is original flavor. Do not get the flavored kombucha. Get original or plain. I think those are the only 2 that would be sold under. Okay, so this is organic and raw, and it's original flavor, which means there's no extra flavor added. So what I'm going to do, hopefully it's not carbonated. I opened it a little while ago to make sure it wouldn't explode. It's a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to get this open slowly, and then I'm just going to put it in here. And I'm gonna let that set for a second and look at comments. Okay. What do I do to replenish the liquid in the SCOBY hotel? Okay, I'm gonna get to that in just 1 second, because we're gonna put everything up in our SCOBY hotel in just a second. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just going to put this in like this. Okay. And then I had 2 cups of the tea in there. Okay, so you add 16, yes, 2 cups, yes, exactly right. And I'm going to get, because I'm very used to doing things like, and I'm gonna get to my recipe so I can tell you exactly right. Okay, yes, so 2 cups of store-bought kombucha, and then I had the 2 cups of the brewed tea, and I just poured it together like that. Now, and it's 1/4 cup of sugar. Okay, and then I'm going to take something, I've got a coffee filter here, and I'm just going to put it on top. Again, to keep out the dust, bugs, whatever, and then that's it, just like this. I'm going to let it sit. Now, depending again on your house, it's gonna take a week, 2 weeks, could take up to 5 weeks. Just depends on, like I said, your house. In the winter, it would take 4 to 5 weeks for a SCOBY to form. But when it does, this is what it's gonna look like. And you can see the SCOBY formed right there. Okay, let me put this down here. And let me, oh yeah, Bill's like, you can't see it, they can't see it. What I'm gonna do is take it out. Let me take it out so you can see. So you can see what happened here. Okay, so get that all there. I'm gonna take it out. And I'm gonna put my plate back over here so it'll catch the drips. And then you can see. So there, that's what it made. So like I said, you have to have conditions right in your house for it to go pretty quickly. So if it's warm, summertime, then it will go a week, 2 weeks. If it's winter, it's gonna take longer. So I would recommend doing it in the warmer temperature or having heating pad for this because you don't want it to mold or anything. I don't think that it would. I've never had it not do it. So, I've never had that happen, but it could if it's not warm enough to get going, if that makes sense. So if you want to do this in a colder climate, then you might want to put it, on a heating, wrap it with a heating pad, or put it in just like on top of the refrigerator. Some places really warm. If you're doing it in the summertime or a warm environment, then you should be fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, so that is what happens if you don't have a SCOBY or you're like me and too cheap to pay for one. So you can play with that and you can do that. Keep in mind though, the bottle kombucha is, oops, I did not turn that off. Okay, so anyway, the bottled kombucha is expensive too. So if you keep doing it and it's not working, then just bite the bullet and get a SCOBY because you're going to add up with your store-bought kombucha. But if you want to try it, this is definitely a more economic way to go than to buy a SCOBY straight away. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get myself organized here because we're going to talk about the SCOBY hotel. Okay. My finished kombucha gets thick, clear film over it. Is that a start of a new SCOBY? Yes, actually it is. And I usually don't take mine out when it's just a film. I usually go ahead and wait for it to form a SCOBY because but it just depends. If you're one of those people who likes it on the sweet side, then you don't want it to go too far. So that's something you have to do by taste. Again, you could get a pH strip and work that way too. So it just depends on your taste buds that way. Okay, so now let me talk about the SCOBY hotel because once you get going, you've got a bunch of SCOBYs, and of course I have all these SCOBYs too. I've been saving my SCOBYs for you guys so you could see, right, what it's gonna look like. So let me go ahead and show you this brew here that's ready to bottle. So hang on just 1 second. Like I said, I'm organizing here, Okay, so again, if you're Self-Reliant School member, email me, and first one who does that, I'm going to send that to you. It's going to be this very one that's open on the outside, but not open on the inside. So, but like I said, clearly I do not need this, so I don't want it just to go to waste because I'm about to put these SCOBYs in the compost. So go ahead and email me if you are a member, and I will get this in the mail to you. Okay, moving on here to the SCOBY hotel and to the second ferment. And like I said, I'm organizing here. I do not need this anymore. Okay, so now remember, this is our brew that we set for a week or so. Okay, so now pretend like it's a week later, and this is what it's going to look like. Let me show you. It's got the SCOBY on the top. Now, one thing that this doesn't have that this does is extra SCOBYs. Because what I do is, if I want to keep the SCOBYs, I'll put them in with the brew. And what it'll do is it'll make your kombucha brew faster. So I don't normally keep this many SCOBYs. Like I said, I was just wanting to show you guys what they look like and the different colors that they have and all of that. So this, when I pull this out, you're going to go, oh my goodness, she didn't put that many SCOBYs in here. And no, I didn't, but I did in here so that I could show them to you. And that's another thing. If you just want to go ahead and make a small amount, but you know your SCOBY hotel is drying up a little bit, you can put them all in there. Now, I would not recommend doing this on the first brew. If you just get your SCOBY, you really need to baby it, and you won't have all those SCOBYs to begin with anyway. You're going to have to build them up, right? But at some point, there's just too many, and so what you're going to need to do is either compost them, give them away. That would be the perfect thing to do. Or you can trash them. I hate to say that, that's an option. You could also make SCOBY candy. And so what you can do with that is you can take the SCOBYs and you can cut them and then put them on a dehydrator tray, and there's a recipe that you can sweeten them a little bit and put them in the dehydrator, and you can eat them that way, and it's like a leathery kind of candy that you can eat. And that's going to still have the probiotics in it if you don't dehydrate it at too high of a temperature. And we have a lot more about dehydrating if you want to check out Self-Reliant School, and you can see the different things that you can dehydrate, and we can have a whole class on that. Okay, so, but those are some options with your SCOBY. I'm going to show you here how to make a SCOBY hotel because, you know, like I said, you may want to take a break from kombucha brewing because it's a little bit, it's not hard, but it's, you know, you got a bottle here and there. One thing that we do is when we finish the brew, we do the second ferment, but we don't start the next brew right away because I want to go ahead and make some of that starter liquid. And so I let the SCOBY sit in the SCOBY hotel for a week, maybe 2 weeks, because it's going to continue to ferment. And actually, your hotel will form another SCOBY. So you just can't get away from them once you start brewing. Okay, so what I would do if, say that I had 2 of these and I had brewed them both at the same time. So we would say there was one SCOBY from here, or actually 2, because it's going to form another one. So I've got 2 from here and 2 from here, and I want to save all 4 because maybe I'm going on vacation or something like that, and I want to not have a brew going while I'm away. Okay, so what I would do is I would take my SCOBYs, and like I said, I have more than 2 in here, so don't think that I didn't do or that you did anything wrong if you followed that recipe, because I was saving them to show you. But normally I would just have 2, but I'm gonna reach in here and get a bunch. But maybe you even have more than these 2. Maybe you have, I don't know, this is 4 gallons, maybe you have 8 gallons going on. You know, maybe it's Christmas time and you want to give a bottle to whoever's house you're going over to have a Christmas party at, or maybe it's summertime and you know you're going to have company over and this is going to be a wonderful refreshing drink for you guys. Okay, so you can see the different sizes again, and I'm just trying to make sure that I've got all my SCOBYs out, which I don't. You can see this one's really dark and old. Okay, so if your SCOBY turns completely black and it's on the top, then your SCOBY's probably dead. So, and I know that it's a little bit daunting when you start out because you're thinking, well, my goodness, what color should my SCOBY be, right? And so that's the reason that I'm doing this show, because I want you to see all the different colors, because just because it's a little bit dark doesn't mean that it's molded. So But if it's completely black and your kombucha doesn't smell good, and if you were brave enough to taste it doesn't taste good, then it's probably dead, and you need to start again. Okay, so I have my SCOBY Hotel. This is just a 1 gallon container, again, that I got at a box store. It's glass. You could use a crock if you wanted to. You could use like a glass bowl if you wanted to. Anything like that. If you use a glass bowl, I know a lot of glass bowls now come with a plastic top. Don't use the plastic top. I'll show you in just a second. We're gonna put another cloth on it. Okay, so I've got my SCOBYs in here, and I'm just gonna take some of the kombucha. You have to have a sacrifice of a little bit of kombucha to keep your SCOBYs. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, and I'm going to cover the SCOBYs. So you make sure that it gets down in there and everything is covered. Okay, so, okay, so now I'm gonna leave that in there for just a second. Then I'm gonna get a smaller one here. Then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna cover it again for dust, flies, fruit flies, whatever might be wanting to invade your SCOBY Hotel. Then I'm going to put a rubber band around it, and then I'm going to I put mine in the same place I put my brews, and I just leave it. And that will save your SCOBYs for at least a month. The liquid's going to evaporate more in the heat, and they're going to go ahead and ferment more in the heat too. So it'd be longer in the winter, shorter in the summer. We usually do a cycle of a week to 2 weeks. So they may stay in here 2 weeks, and then I would take them out and we do another brew. So that is how you make the SCOBY Hotel. And then that's it. And you, if you want to keep it for longer than that, what you could do is you could add just a little bit of sweet tea to your SCOBY Hotel, because it needs some of that sugar to ferment and to be healthy. And so you could add a little bit there, and that would help with the evaporation too. Okay, so I'm gonna look and make sure there's questions. Let's see. Let me go over a few things here, because I don't wanna leave anything out. Okay, so there is some variations. Okay, so let me talk about some variations to kombucha, and then we'll talk about bottling. Okay, so one of the variations you can do is to use a different kind of tea. You could use green tea, you could use white tea. I use black tea. The only thing I would recommend not doing is just having an herbal blend, or not an herbal blend, but an herbal tea, which sometimes doesn't have any tea in it. If you wanted to use some of that, you could do a blend, an herbal blend, and make sure you've got some tea in there, some tea leaves in there. Okay, and then using a different sweetener. Okay, so when I made the sweet tea, I used evaporated cane juice. And so you can use that. You can use any derivative of sugarcane. So anything that came from the sugarcane, molasses, sucralnate, regular sugar, anything, like I said, that came from sugarcane, you can use. That would be fine. You could also use honey. You could use agave. You could use maple syrup. So you can use almost any kind of sweetener, but you couldn't use something like stevia, because stevia won't ferment. So, but we'll come back to stevia in just a second. Okay, let's see. Oh, one other thing I want to tell you about the sugar, because if you look at the recipe, there's 2 cups of sugar in here, so it's quite a bit of sugar. But the thing is that it's going to all ferment, and it's for your SCOBY. So don't worry, you're not going to be drinking that much sugar, and the longer you let it ferment, the less sugar will be in there, because it'll be all eaten up. So there is a way to drink kombucha without it being super sugary. Okay, let's see. You can use a different type of SCOBY. This is a kombucha SCOBY. There's another SCOBY that's called a Jun SCOBY. And basically, that's a little bit different bacteria and yeast strain. And usually, Jun is a drink that is made with green tea and honey. So it has just a little bit of a different taste, and it has, it's usually ferments quicker, so you'll brew it quicker. And there's some debate as to whether you have to have a Jun SCOBY, and you can't make a Kombucha SCOBY a Jun SCOBY. So it just, depends on your taste buds and all of that, but you can learn more about that if you go to the show notes. Okay, let's see, changing the recipe. Okay, so I said that you can have all of these different kinds of teas and all these kinds of sugars, but the thing is, I would not keep switching it up time and time again. You can make a change, but the SCOBY is a living thing. So when you change the recipe, it's going to have to transition. So maybe you want to keep several SCOBYs, and you will have different recipes for each one. And so you would, you'd have to manage that, but that's definitely possible. You would just take them, you would have your SCOBY hotel, and then you would divide up your different recipes, but you would need to let your SCOBY transition to the different sweetener or the different tea blend. And then at that point, you'd need a different SCOBY hotel for each one, because if you combine them, then it's going to have an off taste. Okay, so I don't want to leave anything out here. Okay, so let's talk about a second ferment. So here we go. We have our SCOBY hotel. We've got this all ready to go, and we have taken what we need to continue our brewing another time. But now we want to go ahead and to start a second brew so that we can get a little bit of fizzy and a little bit of flavor. Okay, so let me make sure I've got what I need here to show you. Okay, so you're gonna need some bottles, and let me just show you the different kinds of bottles here. Bill has a link to where you can get some different kinds of bottles. You're gonna want a bottle, I thought I had a smaller one. Okay, here we go. You're gonna want a bottle that has a top on it where it's going to be fairly airtight. So in other words, it's going to keep the carbonation in. So you're going to want this kind of top here. And this particular bottle is the one that's used for brewing beer. So you can find that if you search for that, you can find these type of bottles. And they also come in the clear. Your kombucha is going to, everything is going to do better, right, in an opaque darker bottle, but I like to know what flavor the kombucha is by just looking at it. So I prefer to bottle in the clear bottles, and it really doesn't make that much of a difference for us because we go through it really quickly. So, and then you can get the smaller ones, the single serve. You can do that as well, and you can get these in clear too. So let me show you what I do when I'm gonna bottle it. Okay, so when you do your second ferment, what that means is that you've already done one ferment, so you've already made kombucha. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna give the yeast some more sugar, because you're going to give it a fruit flavor or another kind of flavor, like a root flavor or something like that. And then you're gonna give it the carbonation. So you're gonna give it some kind of extra sugar. So basically what you can do is you can take fruit. You could take fresh fruit. I don't have fresh fruit to show you, but you can do that. I'm going to show you in the camera. Okay, so I have some ginger and I have some cherries. Can you see those? And they are dehydrated. See the cherries? Huh. Okay, and again, you can learn how to dehydrate all kinds of fruit inside of Self-Reliant School. And we also have a wonderful recipe for candied fruit, because this is candied ginger. So that is going to be super good. Or you can just take fruit juice. I've got some mango juice here, and I've got some pomegranate juice here. So I'm just going to show you one of each. So I'm going to take the cherries and I'm going to put them in the bottle. Now you want to cut your cherries up pretty good, because what happens is they're going to take on the water, so they're going to swell up. So you want it where you're going to be able to easily get them back out of the bottle. So you can just sit here and put your fruit in. And this is not going to be quite as sweet as the juice. So if you're wanting to cut down on your sugar, this is one way you could do it. I'm going to talk about a few other ways in just a second. But yeah, just go ahead and stuff them in there. And I'm looking at questions here. Is the acidic level a problem for tooth enamel? I can't say that it's not. You know, I don't think it's a problem. I think everything in moderation. So if you're worried about that, you may consider using a straw or something like that so it doesn't ever touch your teeth. Okay. So, and normally I would put all of these in and get it sweet, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to show you how I bottle it. So I'm going to take a funnel. There's a lot of people who say, oh, don't ever put your kombucha, let it touch metal, but if it's only for just a short time, or if it's stainless steel, they make stainless steel crocks, so it's fine. Don't worry. It's not going to damage it. Okay, so I'm just going to do this and fill the bottle. You could do a combination. If you had some cherry juice, you could put the dehydrated candied cherries and the cherry juice. You could, again, like I said, you could use fresh. So you could put cherries and cherry juice, or you might even put a combination of candied cherries and fresh cherries. So it just depends on you and your taste. This is the time that you get to experiment with all the different flavors. If you have looked at kombucha in the grocery store or the health food store, you will see all the different flavors that they have, all the different combinations. And so now is the time where you can mix your own combinations of flavors, and then you can decide what you like. So I'm going to fill it. You need to leave a little bit of space. Sometimes I forget, but you want to leave a little bit of space because you want there to be some room for the carbonation. Okay, so then what I would do, and you can tell there's some carbon, well, you can't because you're not really close to it. I wonder if I can show you on the camera. There's already some carbonation in here. Let me see if I can do that. Can you see the bubbles? Oh wait, let me see if I can go down. Can you see the bubbles? Maybe a little? Okay, so there's already some in here. Okay, so you're gonna leave an inch to an inch and a half when you bottle it, and then you're gonna put it in a cool, it doesn't have to be super cool. You just put it in a place that's safe, that's out of the way, that dogs won't knock it down or cats won't knock it down. Every once in a great while, every couple of years or so, I will have a bottle that breaks or explodes. And so what I do is I have a big plastic bin that I use, and I put all of the bottles that are doing their second ferment in there, and then I put the lid on it. And so it's dark in there anyway, so that's a good thing. And then that's it. If there is something that happens to one of the bottles, then it's contained. I just wash the other, wipe the other bottles down and then get rid of the mess that's already contained, and I'm good to go. So if you want an extra precaution, you can do that. Like I said, it does not happen very often. It's maybe once every 3 or 4 years. So not to worry about that. Okay, so then that is how I would bottle it. Now, if I were doing juice, let me just show you what I would do for the juice. I would take a bottle, and this is pomegranate, and you could measure if you wanted to. I would say 1/4 to 1/2 cup. Again, this is gonna be where you're gonna control some of the sugar. So I just do it about this much. If I'm making it for my kids, I'll probably do more because they like sweet. But then I would just fill it like I did the other one, and then bottle it, and then put it in my bin. And then that would be it. And then I would be ready to let it ferment there for about a week. Like I said, depending on the weather. If it's winter, then it's going to take a little bit longer. If it's summer, it's going to go a little bit faster. and I don't worry about it. If it goes a little bit long, it's fine. I like it where it's not really sweet. If you like it where it's super sweet, then you're going to really want to watch it, but I like it on the tangy side. Okay, and then let me say, because I did get a question about how I know it was done. Okay, so I taste it, and kombucha has a sweet, sour yin and yang, right? So if you know that flavor, then you'll, and with practice, you'll get it and you'll know what that tastes like. So let me talk about, before I open a bottle, let me talk about some troubleshooting tips here. I just don't want to leave anything out. Okay, so here's one. What if your SCOBY hotel dries out? This has happened to me, so I am laughing at myself because it's the biggest thing to help that would be not to let that happen. But we're all busy and it does happen occasionally. So if you have healthy SCOBYs, then what you can do is you can do the recipe just like I showed you how to do, and especially if you've got more than one, then put all your SCOBYs into your brew and it should be fine. It should, if your SCOBYs were healthy in the beginning, then you should be able to brew it without the starter liquid. So don't put vinegar in there. Some people will say to go ahead and put vinegar in there to help it. I would not do that. I would just rely on the SCOBYs. It might take a little bit longer for that brew, but it should be okay. I would not put, like I said, vinegar. Okay, another one is my kombucha tastes like alcohol. Okay, so what probably happened if it tastes like alcohol is there was some sort of fluctuation in the temperature of your house. And so it may have just really wanted to ferment really fast, and the SCOBY wasn't able to keep up the balance, right? So what you can do is just let it go for a little bit longer. The alcohol should dissipate, and then you could do your second ferment and go from there. Okay, my kombucha tastes like vinegar. What do I do? Okay, if your kombucha tastes like vinegar, you've let it go too far. It's not kombucha anymore. It's kombucha vinegar. So what you could do is what you basically have is a whole bunch of starter liquid, right? So what you can do is you can use that vinegar like you would any other vinegar. You can use it in cooking, you can use it in salad dressing, or anything like that. Or you can use it as starter liquid and start a whole bunch more, and you should be fine. And then we already covered if your SCOBY is black. If your SCOBY is fuzzy, then your SCOBY has mold, and it's time to get a new SCOBY or make a new SCOBY. And so, and if you've been brewing for a while and maybe it was something that happened, the temperature in your house was weird, or the humidity, or you let it go too long, or whatever, then try doing it with store-bought kombucha so you don't have to pay for another SCOBY. Or you can get one from a friend, which is super easy. That's the best way to do it. Okay, I'm gonna look here. Okay, so now I'm gonna tell you what I do when I take them out, take my bottles out. So, let me get my glass here. Like I said, I wanted to show you all the stuff, so I have all this stuff I have to move around every time I want to do something, but it's fine because I wanted you to see everything. Okay, so most of the time, your kombucha, and I have several bottles here so we can try more than one if it doesn't get a pop. But anyway, most of the time on your second ferment, you will get carbonation. Now, it is a natural process, so sometimes your bottle might not have been latched correctly, or it's going too slow, and I haven't reached that carbonation point yet. So most of the time, you're going to get carbonation. Sometimes it's less than others, so I just want to warn you about that. And so I'm going to pour some here. Let me see if I can get a pop off of these. Let's see. Oh, did you hear that? That was the pop I was going for. And so let me see if I can get some fizz here. I'll try another one too and see if I can get it to pop again. Okay, so I've got some carbonation there. Okay, let me try one more. I hope you heard that, but in case you didn't, I'm going to do another one. Okay. There, you hear the pop? Okay, so here's what I do. I take them out of my bin, and I have a husband that loves carbonation. I don't care one way or the other. What I don't want is I don't want to mess in my refrigerator. So what I will do is I will take them out, because mine usually do really pop. So I will take them out of the bin and I will burp them. So I will just open the top and let all the carbonation out. It's not all of it, but some of it, because I'll just put it on again really quick. Then I'll put it in the refrigerator. Now the refrigerator is going to slow down the ferment, but it's not going to stop it. So if you've got kombucha in your refrigerator that's been there for a really, really long time, it's going to continue to ferment. It's going to continue to carbonate what sugar there was in there. And if you leave it too long, you could get an explosion. So that's why I burp them. It just depends on how fast you drink your kombucha. It depends on if you're doing a continuous brew or you're going to do a whole batch. Like I said, I do a whole batch, so I usually have, like 12 bottles or so that I put in the refrigerator, and then I burp them all before I put them in there, just to be on the safe side. And they still wind up being carbonated. So there is that. Okay, so heard it, saw it. Yay, Tracy. Okay, awesome. Okay, so just a couple things. I want to let you guys know that we have a brand new home brewing package that includes 5 videos, and it is the book from our home brewing e-course. And it's a brand new product that we just released. And if you go to selfreliantschool.com/homebrew-package, then you can learn more about that. So I'm just going to look really quick, make sure that there's no more questions here. And then if you are watching on the replay, of course, I will answer all questions throughout the day and throughout this coming week. Okay, so remember, being self-reliant is about being selfish, and it's not just all about you. It's about taking care of yourself so you can take care of the ones that you love. Take care until we talk again. I'm so glad you could join me today. Here's what to do next. Head over to selfreliantlife.tv to pick up the show notes for this episode and to watch replays of older episodes. To go directly to the show notes for this episode, go to selfreliantlife.tv, and then without a space, type a / and then the number of today's episode. You can watch this show live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live on Facebook or the Periscope app. Don't forget to stop by selfreliantschool.com/free to get your free Self-Reliant School videos that will help you get started living a self-reliant life. Also, if you're listening to this show as a podcast and you've liked what you've heard today, please subscribe through Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast app. If you're on a mobile device, just search for the Self-Reliant Living Show. If you're on a laptop or desktop, just go to selfreliantlife.tv/iTunes. And while you're there, please leave a review. I love to hear from you. You leaving feedback makes it easier for others that are interested in living a self-reliant life to find my podcast. Take care until we talk again.